The Toronto Regional Real Estate Board has released data for the month of July showing a real estate market that is hitting the brakes with the benchmark, median, and average home prices all dropping down for the first time this year. The data shows a weakening real estate market in line with headlines we saw in July indicating that the market was quieting with significant increases in housing supply and a reduction in demand. In the July Market Watch release, the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board jumped quickly to point out that home sales in the GTA remained elevated compared to the same point in time last year. And this was mentioned despite the fact that we observed a massive drop in the month-over-month home sales activity and home prices, as we're going to see later on in this video. However, something to point out is that housing affordability has changed significantly compared to the same point in time last year, when residential insured mortgage interest rates were hovering between 3.5% and 4%. And if the July housing market activity is indicative of a real estate market correction, then the correction is happening at a much faster pace than it did last year between the months of February and March 2022. So what I would like to do in today's video is go over Toronto's real estate market data for the month of July, then look at the change in housing affordability this month compared to last year's peak, and finally discuss how the change in housing affordability will impact the current real estate market. And now, without further ado, let's jump right into the video. Looking at the GTA residential market July numbers, let's kick it off by looking at the benchmark price. The benchmark price, which represents the price of properties with the most popular set of features, was around $1.16 million, a 0.9% drop from the June number, rounding up to about $10,000. The average price was $1.11 million, a considerable 5.4% drop from the June number, close to around $64,000. The median price, which represents half of the properties selling over or under this number, also saw a substantial contraction as well. The median price in July was $974,000, a 3.6% drop from the June number, or a decrease of $36,000 in July alone. Now, if we take a look at the months of inventory metric, which measures if no more homes came to market, if everyone stopped selling their homes in Toronto, how long would it take for the Toronto real estate market to run out of homes for sale? Well, in July, the MOI remained unchanged at 2.1 months, indicating that there's been no change compared to the June's number, and of course, reflecting on the dynamics between supply and demand. In addition to price reductions, we also saw homes selling for less over asking than they have in previous months. In addition to price reductions, we saw homes selling less over asking compared to previous months. The sale to listing price ratio in July dropped from 104% to 102%. The SLPR, which measures by how much over or under asking a home is selling, dropped for the first time this year to its lowest levels, indicating that July buyers paid around 2% over asking. Judging from the Market Watch data for the month of July, it has become clear that the Toronto real estate market is stalling. And with interest rates and mortgage rates on the rise and expected to stay this way for the foreseeable future, it might be like we're headed towards an extended period of calmness before momentum picks up again. To better illustrate the change in housing affordability, let's take a look at average home prices and see how much income individuals need to make in order to afford new properties. And for this exercise, we're going to compare the period between Feb-March 2022 to June-July 2023. Looking back at the period between February and March 2022, we can see that the average home price in the GTA dropped by 2.6% to reach $1.29 million in March 2022. At this price point level, the qualifying household income before tax was supposed to be $194,000 a year in order to qualify for a 5-year variable mortgage interest rate with a down payment of 20%. Now, if we contrast these numbers with the current period between June and July 2023, where the average home price in the GTA dropped by 5.39% to reach $1.11 million, we can see that the qualifying household income before tax needs to be $234,000 at a 5-year variable mortgage interest rate of 5.8%. So what does this tell us? Well, essentially, Household income earners need to make 21% more income today in order to qualify for the average home price compared to March 2022. And that's a massive increase, which makes housing less affordable. Higher borrowing rates continuously putting pressure on housing affordability, combined with weaker market sentiments as we've seen between June and July 2023, together tell us that a real estate market correction could potentially unfold at a much faster pace than what we've seen last year between Feb and March 2022. Let me show you why. If we look at the period between Feb and March 2022, we can see that the two pricing metrics, average and the median price, dropped between 2 and 3%, while the benchmark price rose by 2.6%. And if we contrast those pricing metrics for this period to the June-July 2023 period, we can see that the three pricing metrics altogether dropped by at least 0.8%, with the average price dropping by 5.3%. So what this tells me is that the pace upon which the correction is happening in today's market is much more aggressive than what we saw back in March 2022. That being said, the real estate market correction is largely dependent on the Bank of Canada's decision and its plan on monetary policy. As always, feel free to drop me a message to talk about buying, selling, or investing in the GTA.